In this video, we're going to talk about the properties of the number systems. There are 4 basic properties of the number system. These properties are important to know because they help us solve more advanced mathematical concepts, such as simplifying expressions, combining like terms, and solving multi-step equations. Let's go through them each one by one. The first 2 properties that we're going to talk about are the commutative property of addition and the commutative property of multiplication. The commutative property of addition says 2 numbers added together will give the same sum regardless of the order in which the 2 numbers are added. So when you switch 2 numbers around in the addition problem, it's not going to change your answer. For example, if I take 5 plus 2, I get 7. If I switch the 5 and the 2 around, our answer is also going to be 7. This property also works for multiplication. The commutative property of multiplication says that 2 numbers multiplied together will get the same product regardless of the order in which the numbers are multiplied. What this means is if I take 6 times 4, I get 24. If I switch around the 6 and the 4 to get 4 times 6, that is also 24. Let's move on to the next 2 properties. They are the associative property of addition and the associative property of multiplication. The associative property of addition says 3 or more numbers are added together will give you the same sum regardless of the order in which the numbers are grouped. Notice that the main difference between the associative property and the commutative property is that we're dealing with 3 or more numbers. Also, we're dealing with the way numbers are grouped. In this property, what is in parentheses or grouped changes. Let's look at the following example. We have 6 plus parentheses 4 plus 5. Using order of operations, we know we need to add 4 plus 5 first to get 9. 6 plus 9 is 15. Changing the grouping can make this an easier problem because 6 plus 4 is 10, and then we can quickly say 10 plus 5 is 15. We get the same answer. However, it's a lot easier to make tens. So regrouping them just makes sense. We can do the same thing with the associative property of multiplication. The associative property of multiplication again deals with 3 or more numbers being multiplied together, having the same product regardless of the order in which the numbers are grouped. So looking at this example, we would have to take 5 times 3 first to get 15, and then take 2 times 15, which is 30. If I regroup, then I can see that I can make 10. 2 times 5 is 10, and then we can times easily by 3. 1 times 3 is 3, and we can add that zeros. By changing the grouping, it allows us to add compatible numbers or numbers that go well together so that the addition and multiplication can be done easier and quicker. The next property is the distributive property of multiplication. What this says is the sum or difference of 2 numbers multiplied by a third number equals the sum or difference of each number times the third. For example, we have 5 times the sum of 10 and 4. Order of operations tell us that we have to take 10 plus 4 first. That's 14. Then we need to take 5 times 14. When we multiply, we get 70. We can make this problem a lot simpler by using the distributive property. We can take 5 times the 10 plus 5 times the 4. Doing this, we would have 50 plus 20, which is 70. We get the same answer. The last 2 properties that we're going to talk about are the identity property of addition and the identity property of multiplication. When you look at this, you should see the word identity. What that means is that the number is going to stay the same or maintain its identity. What number would you have to add to 5 so that 5 maintains its identity? If you thought we needed to add 0, you're correct because 5 plus 0 is 5. So the identity property of addition says that the sum of any number and 0 is going to equal that number. We could do the same thing with multiplication. If I have 5, what do I have to multiply 5 by so that it maintains its identity and remains a 5? If you thought 1, you're correct because 5 times 1 is 5. So the identity property of multiplication states that the product of a number and 1 will equal that number.